So mình thấy Trung Quốc nó phát triển quá nhanh. Xong đó tôi thấy có thể Việt Nam là cái Trung Quốc thứ hai. So lúc đó tôi quyết định năm 11 tôi đi Việt Nam, thấy Việt Nam đầu tư được không. I would say we Vietnamese are very intelligent people. Investors recognize that Vietnam potentially could be the next China.
Tiến sĩ Dennis Nguyễn là một doanh nhân thành công. Ông đã thành lập công ty Society Pass và công ty trách nhiệm hữu hạn chế biến thực phẩm Huy Việt Nam, đồng thời là người đứng đầu của 7 công ty khác nhau. Tiến sĩ Nguyễn là chủ tịch kiêm giám đốc điều hành tại Society Pass và giám đốc điều hành của Push Delivery Pte, một công ty con của Society Pass, và là chủ tịch kiêm giám đốc điều hành tại công ty New Asia Partners China Corp. Ông cũng là thành viên hội đồng quản trị của Quỹ Đại học California Irvine và tập đoàn khoáng sản Levitan Inc. Trong sự nghiệp trước đây của mình, tiến sĩ Nguyễn đã từng nắm giữ nhiều vai trò trọng yếu tại nhiều công ty khác nhau. Tiến sĩ Nguyễn đã nhận bằng tốt nghiệp của Đại học Johns Hopkins, bằng đại học của Đại học California Irvine, bằng cao học và bằng tiến sĩ của trường luật Đại học Minnesota và bằng thạc sĩ quản trị kinh doanh của trường kinh doanh Booth thuộc Đại học Chicago. Là một doanh nhân nhanh nhạy, tiến sĩ Nguyễn đã nhìn thấy tiềm năng phát triển của Việt Nam từ rất sớm. Với công ty Society Pass, ông là người thành công trong việc đưa công ty đầu tiên và cho đến nay vẫn là công ty duy nhất từ Việt Nam vào thị trường chứng khoán Mỹ. PhoBolsaTV đã có buổi nói chuyện đầy thông tin thú vị với tiến sĩ Dennis Nguyễn ngay tại quận Cam.
Bố tôi là người Nam Định. Lúc năm tư, bố là từ Nam Định vào Sài Gòn. Xong đó ông bố tôi là đi Hoa Kỳ từ năm 4 tới năm 6, training với lại cái US Air Force.
Đi huấn luyện với lại không lực Hoa Kỳ.
Đúng rồi. Xong đó năm 6 về Việt Nam. Xong đó gặp mẹ tôi. Mẹ tôi là người Sài Gòn, trong Sài Gòn, nhưng mà trẻ hơn 9 tuổi ha. So bố tôi lập gia đình với mà tôi. Xong đó mình ở trong, tôi là năm 70 sinh trong Sài Gòn, ở tới Việt Nam tới năm 75. Từ năm 75 tới năm 88 tôi là ở bên Orange County.
Ngay quận Cam này.
Orange County, đúng rồi. Ở Anaheim.
Anaheim.
Đúng rồi.
Cách đây không xa, cỡ khoảng chừng 10 phút lái xe mà thôi.
10 phút hả? Đúng rồi, wow. 10 phút. Xong đó đi học bên UCI, ở đây luôn. Trong UCI mình học kinh tế với lại Trung Quốc, văn học.
Học về Trung Quốc.
Văn học Trung Quốc, đúng rồi.
Văn học Trung Quốc.
Đúng rồi.
Trung Quốc.
Right. Xong đó graduate UCI, xong đó đi học bên Johns Hopkins, lấy cái master's degree của quan hệ quốc tế.
Đúng rồi.
International Relations.
Quan hệ quốc tế.
Đúng rồi. Xong đó mình đi học law school bên University of Minnesota.
Trường luật ở Minnesota.
Trường luật, đúng rồi. Xong đó đi học lấy cái MBA của Chicago Đại học. Okay. So lúc tôi 20 tuổi tới 28 tuổi, 18 tuổi tới 28 tuổi tôi đi học nhiều lắm. Mất hết cái tóc của tôi ha. Xong đó 28 tuổi sau mình dọn nhà về đi Hồng Kông. Lúc
28 tuổi đi Hồng Kông.
28 tuổi đi Hồng Kông. Lúc đó là làm investment banker của cho ba cái ngân hàng lớn nhất của quốc tế, Citigroup. Credit Agricole says cái đó là ngân hàng của Pháp. And then thứ ba là Daiwa Securities, SMBC là ngân hàng của Nhật Bản.
Anh làm cái vai trò gì trong các ngân hàng đó, ngân hàng quốc tế đó?
Mình là làm hai cái nghề. Một là mergers and acquisitions. Nghề thứ hai là cho công ty của Á Châu đi IPO bên Hồng Kông hay là New York.
Một cái nghề là mình sát nhập các công ty, còn mỗi nghề là mình đưa các cái công ty vào thị trường chứng khoán.
Đúng rồi, đúng rồi.
Thị trường chứng khoán của Hồng Kông và thị trường chứng khoán của Hoa Kỳ.
Đúng rồi, đúng rồi. Xong đó làm investment banker 5 năm. Xong đó từ năm 02 tới năm 16 làm venture capital cho cái công ty New Asia Partners. Xong đó mình đầu tư vào nhiều cái công ty Trung Quốc. Tôi thấy khoảng 12 công ty Trung Quốc.
Và tất cả cái công việc đó trong thời gian đó anh làm ở Hồng Kông.
Hồng Kông, Thượng Hải, Đài Loan, Singapore. Xong đó trong cái 12 cái công ty này mình đầu tư 12 công ty, 5 cái công ty mình cho IPO bên Hồng Kông với lại Singapore.
Trong 12 công ty.
Đúng rồi.
Là 5 công ty vào được IPO.
Xong đó tôi 09 tôi retire.
Đã gọi là về hưu từ năm 2009 hay 19?
Lê chính. Xong đó tôi dọn nhà về Hoa Kỳ. Lúc đó mình có 3 đứa con nhỏ. Muốn 3 đứa con nó biết cái văn hóa của Hoa Kỳ. So mình dọn nhà về Hoa Kỳ.
Nó biết văn hóa của Mỹ cho nên là dọn về.
Đúng rồi, đúng rồi.
Khi mà anh làm ở Hồng Kông như vậy đó thì Việt Nam rất gần Hồng Kông. Anh đã sang Việt Nam làm việc. Ở đầu tư.
Lần đầu đúng rồi. Từ năm 98 tới năm 09 tôi là ở bên Trung Quốc, Hồng Kông, Thượng Hải, Đài Loan, Sing. Lúc đó mình thấy Trung Quốc nó phát triển nhanh lắm. So
đó cũng là lý do mà anh lựa chọn qua Á Châu lúc đó đó.
Đúng rồi. So mình thấy Trung Quốc nó phát triển quá nhanh. Xong đó tôi thấy có thể Việt Nam là cái Trung Quốc thứ hai. So lúc đó tôi quyết định năm 11 tôi đi Việt Nam, thấy Việt Nam đầu tư được không? Đúng rồi.
Cái bước đầu tiên của anh vào Việt Nam nó là những gì?
Tôi thấy bây giờ Việt Nam nói tiếng Anh được không?
Được.
Okay. I saw Vietnam as the next China. I did a lot of deals in China in the 1990s and then in the 2000s. Very successful deals. 5 IPOs, number of mergers, M&A deals. China was blooming, growing so quickly. And so when I looked at Vietnam, I thought to myself, this is a country that's very similar to China. Has Confucian culture, strong educated workforce, been outside of the world economy for a long time. And so I thought it was a perfect time in the 2010s to go into Vietnam. And so I looked at various deals. And so Vietnam to me was a no-brainer for me to start Society Pass in Vietnam. People always ask me, why do you want to start Society Pass in Vietnam? Well, number one, I'm Vietnamese, okay? And so I knew that the digital economy was going to grow very, very quickly in Vietnam. And so we started Society Pass in 2018, and it's grown very, very quickly over the last 4 years. So in 2018, I founded Society Pass. And what is Society Pass? Society Pass is a acquisitions-focused e-commerce holding company that's building the next generation digital ecosystem and loyalty platform in Southeast Asia. So we started off in Vietnam. And by the way, we're the first Vietnam-based company to ever IPO outside of Vietnam. It's history. It's very historic. I'm very proud of saying that. In fact, we took Vietnam to IPO on NASDAQ on November 9th, 2021, under the stock symbol SOPA, S-O-P-A.
And it's still the first, but it's still the only one right now for a company from Vietnam to go to New York stock market.
That's right. It's the first and currently still only Vietnam-based company to have ever IPO'd outside of Vietnam onto the U.S. stock exchanges.
Wow. Tell us about the ecosystem of SoPass.
So SOPA, Society Pass, what we are is we're a digital ecosystem. So think of it as an online mall. You know, here in California, everyone knows about South Coast Plaza, which is the most famous mall here in Southern California. Think of that as what it is. So when you go to the mall, you're going to buy shirts. So you want to go to a store that sells shirts. You go to a mall, you want to buy coffee cups or women's beauty products. Same concept. With our ecosystem, we have 6 different verticals, by the way. Loyalty, food and beverage, lifestyle, digital advertising, telecoms, and travel. So let's say you want to have food delivered to your house, right? You want to go to our restaurant delivery company in Philippines. It's called Mangan. You order whatever food it is. It's kind of like DoorDash, right? Here in the United States. Order that food. We'll take that food and deliver it to your house or to your office, right? So that's food and beverage delivery. We also, if you wanted to buy women's products, fashions, whatever, go on to my Vietnam-based lifestyle company called La Flare. If you wanted to buy airline tickets or hotel vouchers for hotel rooms, go to my Indonesia-based travel platform called Nusa Trip. You could buy airline tickets and hotel rooms there. So that's the ecosystem. When we say building the next generation digital ecosystem, that is the ecosystem we have built and are growing very, very quickly.
So people can shop for individual things. Why is it important to go into like the system to do their shopping?
So it's great. So people can do individual things, but the ecosystem that we're building, we said we're building the next digital ecosystem and loyalty platform. So what does that mean? Let's say right now here in the United States, you want to go to Uber Eats, you want to go to Priceline.com, you want to go to Groupon.com, whatever platform it is, inevitably the landing page of that platform would say, hey, if you do this, you get 20% off. If you do that, you get 30% off. That's called cash discounting in our industry. Now, with cash discounting, you're actually not generating any customer loyalty to your platform. So what we've done is, instead of doing cash discounting, we want the merchants to issue loyalty points, society points. So for the audience out there, think of hotel points, think of airline points, okay? So when you go and buy a airline ticket, you get airline points. You take those points and you could redeem them for future airline flights, okay? Now what we're doing is, the loyalty points that you generate, let's say you go to my laflare.com lifestyle website and you buy clothes. Let's say the jacket that you're buying, like this one, is worth $200. Well, generally, if you have cash discounting, you'll have 20% off. So that means you save $40. Well, in this case, instead of getting the $40 savings in cash, you get the $40 savings in loyalty points, society points. We call it society points in our company.
And used for other products.
And then you want to go to the travel website. You want to book a flight from Ho Chi Minh City to Hanoi. Well, it's very easy. Instead of spending cash, you redeem your loyalty points. And you go from Ho Chi Minh City to Hanoi. That's the type of ecosystem loyalty. That's why we bring it into the ecosystem, and so that consumers with one mobile app on their phone, they could pay for all these different goods and services in the ecosystem.
Nice, very clever.
Yeah.
So right now, at the moment, what is the value of the company, and what is the scale of the company in terms of offices, employee, etc.?
So when we IPO'd at a $180 million valuation. And then, of course, the highest it went to was $1.4 billion.
1.4 billion.
Yeah. And
When was this?
This was last year, of course. So company's growing very, very quickly. When we started the company in 2018, and 2018 we had $10,000 of sales. In 2019 we had $10,000 of sales. In 2020 we had $50,000 of sales. In 2021 we had $500,000 of sales. 2022, I think that figure, according to the various public available information out there, is ranging from $7 million to $12 million of sales in 2022.
Wow.
And then, of course, 2023, we believe it's going to be a lot bigger than that. Why? Is because we're acquiring a lot of companies. And as we acquire these companies, we integrate them into the ecosystem. As we integrate them into the ecosystem, more transactions are being produced, more data is being produced, more loyalty points are being circulated. As more transactions grow, the revenues grow. And that's how the ecosystem works. So we started off in 2018 with 0 employees, me. It was started off me. By 2021, we grew that to 40 employees. Today, we have over 200 employees located in the 5 biggest countries of Southeast Asia: Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, and of course, Thailand.
And I guess Vietnam will be the biggest because it started in Vietnam.
Absolutely. In fact, in Vietnam, we have two offices, one in Ho Chi Minh City and the other in Hanoi. Of the 200 employees that we have right now, roughly 80 to 100 employees are based in Vietnam.
Half of them.
Half of them. Uh-huh.
And who are they?
Everything. They're of course computer programmers. We need software developers, but there's programmers, there's finance people, marketing people, operations, logistics, graphic designers, social media influencers, so on and so forth. A lot of employees, a lot of people.
How do you think about your Vietnamese employee in terms of their skill, in terms of their work ethic?
I would say we Vietnamese are very intelligent people. Okay, very intelligent people. In fact, I think if you look at the statistics, outside of Singapore, Vietnam has the most literate workforce in Southeast Asia. Okay, I mean, most educated workforce in Southeast Asia, and I think that's a result of our Confucian background, the fact that we value education, we value the importance of learning, and so I think our Vietnamese employees are one of the best that we have. Quite frankly, anywhere in the world.
Great to hear. Regarding the IPO in the New York stock market, that is not your first company that you bring into the New York stock market.
Yeah. So in fact, Society Pass is the 6th company I've taken public. There's been previous 5 companies, and those 5 companies went public in Hong Kong and Singapore.
What is the challenges to bring a company, a company from Vietnam to New York stock market?
Well, it's not easy, huh? It's actually very difficult.
Absolutely not. That's why it's the only one right now.
Yeah. Well, I think when we went public, first of all, the product that we're offering is very good. Society Pass, again, is building the next generation digital ecosystem and loyalty platform in Southeast Asia. And so that product that we have, the idea, was a very good idea and a good concept. And as we built out that concept, it became a real company with real employees, with real products, with real markets, with real customers, so on and so forth. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, quite frankly, like I said earlier, Vietnam, I believe, and a lot of analysts believe, is the next China. Okay, where there's 100 million people in Vietnam, very educated and very hungry to grow, to get rich. And so because of that, the investors recognize that Vietnam potentially could be the next China. And so when they hear that a Vietnamese company wants to IPO in the US, we found a very receptive audience. And I think the third reason is, leveraging my reputation, my market reputation that I've accrued over the last 25 years of working. People know who Dennis Nguyễn is, the companies I've taken public, the companies that we've invested in Hong Kong and that have come public in Hong Kong and Singapore. And so there was a level of comfort that people, when they invested in our company, they said, that's the right company to invest in.
Wow. Then why PhoBolsa is the only one from Vietnam to the stock market right now, not another company?
Well, like I said, it's not easy, because you got to deal with a lot of regulations and a lot of due diligence. And so you got to pass a 2-year audit, okay, with a PCAOB qualified auditing firm, U.S. auditing firm. That's not easy, Second, you got to pass your due diligence, legal due diligence, with teams of lawyers looking at everything that you're doing. And then third, you got to pass the due diligence process of the stock market. In the United States, we call it the regulators, or the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. You got to pass that due diligence process. And that due diligence process, by the way, is roughly 6 months, So during these 6 months, anything could happen. And through the due diligence, if something bad happens, they won't let you IPO. And I think those are the major reasons why a lot of companies, it doesn't not necessarily just to be Vietnamese companies, but a lot of companies don't achieve a successful IPO. Now, given my background, being in finance, being a venture capitalist for a long time, I know what the questions that the regulators will ask us, what the auditors will ask us, what the lawyers will ask us. And so we spend a lot of time ensuring that the company passes due diligence process.
I know a lot of companies in Vietnam really want to get into the door. And I personally talked to a few people already. So do you think Vietnam companies have a chance to be more presenting in the New York stock market in the future?
Absolutely. So with our ecosystem, we have we have acquired 7 companies over the last few years onto the Society Pass ecosystem. A number of those companies are, of course, Vietnam-based, such as LaFleur. Now, I announced in April of this year that we intend to spin out LaFleur into its own publicly listed company on NASDAQ, here in the New York Stock Exchanges. And so that's going to be the second company that we're going to take public. Okay, where I'm at in Vietnam, and I meet a lot of entrepreneurs. It's very what you just said, Anh Lân. There's a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs that want to IPO on NASDAQ, because at the end of the day, it is the golden rail for technology companies to IPO anywhere in the world. If you could get to NASDAQ, you've made it.
What is your advice for a company, a particular company in Vietnam, want to go to the stock market in the U.S. sometime in the future?
Well, I would suggest, first of all, make sure you have a good product. Okay, develop a good product.
Services.
Or services. What does your company do? What is it addressing? What niche in the market that is currently not fulfilled that you can fulfill it? So that's the number one thing. Who you are. You got to position yourself in that way. Number 2, hire a good team of employees that could take that product, that idea that you have, and grow it much bigger. Okay? Number 3, get in some good venture capitalists. You need venture capital to quite frankly have the funds to grow it into a big company. Because to get to an IPO stage, you're going to need to grow into a relatively big company before you IPO. I think those are the 3 main things, Anh Lân, as I look at companies when they want to go IPO.
Do your company advise or help for those companies that have the need?
Well, a lot of people ask me for advice, and of course I give them the advice. So that obviously is the case. But again, like you said, we have 100 employees now working for us in Vietnam. That's not a lot. That's not a little bit of people. That's a lot of people. And so a lot of companies in Vietnam are asking my country manager in Vietnam, hey, how do you do that? How do you do this? They asked the CEO of my LaFleur subsidiary, how do you do this? How do you do that? So we've been giving actually a lot of advice. And in fact, we're out in social media and with the press in Vietnam, we're very, very active. And so people very much look at our LaFleur, look at our SOPA, and quite frankly, ask us a lot of questions. And we try to help as much as we can.
What about like formally consulting them to get into the market?
Well, formally, we don't do that. I mean, we're too busy building our own company, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're involved in a lot of conferences, a lot of media events. And so through those venues, people are able to ask us, and we definitely help as much as we can.
If you have to make a guess or a prediction, what is the next companies go to New York stock market? Will it be an IT company or EV car company, or what's going to be?
It can be either of those, but I think the second company that's going to go public, we're intending to spin off one of our subsidiaries into
one of your company.
Yeah, into its own separate listed company. So we'll see over the next few months to a year.
All right. I heard a lot of cryptocurrency company or company related to cryptocurrency developing in Vietnam right now. What is your input on that?
There are a lot of crypto, blockchain, Web3
Right.
technology companies growing out of Vietnam. Remember, there's a lot of technology talent in Vietnam today, huh? A lot.
Yes.
I'm 52 years old. I'm an old man, but I with the young industry that I'm in, I deal with a lot of 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. And I gotta tell you, Anlun, there's a lot of very smart guys and women in Vietnam doing this. And so I think it's a great thing with the rise of the Web3 economy. It's gonna change a lot of things, huh? So crypto, of course, is the next big thing. It was the next big thing for the last year and a half. Obviously, 2022, we've seen a decline in the value of crypto, but I think that's just a temporary thing. I think long-term, crypto is gonna be big. Why? Because consumers and merchants want to be able to transact with one another outside of the traditional currencies. That's the point. And so with everything with value being created and transacted on your mobile phone, you're going to gravitate towards adopting crypto as a payment of method, and so payment of currency. And so I think it's a good thing. Bad thing, I don't think there's too much bad things, except we're in Vietnam moving a little too fast for this adoption of crypto. Maybe we have to wait a little bit, but overall, very, very positive on the advent of the blockchain, crypto, Web3 economy in Southeast Asia.
But many people are afraid of the risk factor is too much for investing into crypto.
Yeah.
What can you say?
I agree. I mean, that's why, as I said, it takes a little bit of time for you to understand this. And maybe 2022, with the dramatic decline in the value of a lot of cryptocurrencies, maybe that's a good thing.
Going forward, what do you have, like a plan or a projection for SOPAS as well as your other companies?
Well, we're building a ecosystem, and so people always ask me, Mr. Nguyen, what do you want SOPA to be in 5 years? What do you want SOPA to be in 10 years? Well, I always tell them, this is my legacy. I'm not doing this to sell out. I'm doing this to build a very, very big ecosystem in Southeast Asia, of which Vietnam is part of. And so I would liken us to something like we want to be the Alibaba of Southeast Asia, a big internet holding company that in fact has a lot of properties underneath, where consumers and merchants in Southeast Asia can go to our online mall and transact. As they transact, they get loyalty points. And our loyalty points, as we build it out, we intend to digitalize them into digital assets. And so that's where I think SOPA is going to transform into over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Big plans. If you have to describe your career and your life, what are you going to say?
Well, it's all about having fun, right? It's all about I mean, life. We're here for 80 years, roughly speaking, and it's important to have fun doing that. Now, I spend. A lot of people ask me, how do you spend your personal life? Well, I spend my personal life taking care of my children. I have 5 children, about to have 6 in the next 6 weeks, and I'm very happy, very excited for that. But you know, I have a child ranging from 23 years old all the way to 0. So there's that whole range of how do I take care of my children, give them the proper education. I really enjoy that with my children. So that's one thing I spend a lot of time on. The other thing I spend a lot of time on is thinking about where the world is going. What people are going to be doing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so as I think about those issues, I think how is society past my company going to adapt and navigate the various changes over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
This story will make a lot of people proud.
Thank you.
To be Vietnamese.
Thank you.
So if you have something to say with the Vietnamese people here in the US and in Vietnam, especially to the young people, what you going to say?
What I say is never give up on your dreams. It's important that we have dreams. Now, here's the issue. There's a lot of people that dream, a lot less people that are successful. So how do you go from the dreaming stage to being successful? And I always tell people it's a pyramid. So first you dream, right? But then you got to plan and learn. It's easy to dream. It becomes much harder to plan. And after you plan what you want to do, you got to execute. So it's a dreaming, planning, executing. And after you execute, that doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. It requires a lot of luck. Okay? Having said that, prepare yourself for success. Vietnamese, we're a smart people. We have a history of over 3,000 years. Okay? And we had a very rough 20th century. I think the 21st century is going to be the best century Vietnam's ever had. And so what I would suggest is Vietnamese people study hard, work hard, dream, plan, execute, and be ready for that little bit of luck.
Listen to your story. I see from one success lead to the other, but I haven't heard anything about your anytime you have the failure and how you gonna get over that to continue.
Well, you know,
do you fail any project?
Sure,
anything?
sure. I mean, with the projects that we invest in, there's hopefully most are good, and hopefully some are bad. And the some are bad that end up as failures, as you say. I take them as learning experiences. Okay, what did I do wrong in this deal? How can I learn from that? You need time to sit and digest the learning process, because learning is not a one-day thing. It's probably a multi-year thing. Okay, and so with the failures that we've had, what did I do wrong? How do I learn from it, and how do I apply what I learned to the next deal, the next project? And that's pretty much what I've been doing. 25 years of working in Asia, both Northeast Asia, China, Taiwan, Korea, as well as Southeast Asia.
Is there any time that you faced a difficulty in terms of working or personal life that's so big that you want to give up?
That I want to give up? I don't think I've ever wanted to give up. I'm one of those guys that, you know, you knock me down, I'm going to get it right back up. And so life's fun. Life's a process, as you know, Anlun. So the whole point is not the ending. The point is to get to the ending. That's what makes it fun. So whether, you know, it's in business, whether it's in your personal life, life's a process to get to that, and it's very enjoyable to me, to be honest.
It sounds fun, but some people in the world still feel like sometimes they get stuck so badly they want to give up or even give up their life. What is your advice for that?
Giving up your life, that's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
Life is precious. We're only here for 80 years. I'm already 52, so I'm on the way downhill. I'm downhill now. So as I go downhill, I want to go even faster, Anlun. I want to go faster going downhill. So if you want to give up, I always say to people, tomorrow is a better day. Wait till tomorrow. Don't make any rash decisions today. Wait till tomorrow. Think about it, and then you'll have the answer tomorrow. Whether it's the answer that you're seeking or not, some answer will show up, and have your life react to that.
Very good advice. Thank you. What do you think of the Vietnamese stock market?
Well, the Vietnamese stock market, I would say, the entire world, the last 2 years has been bad. All right, we've had COVID. Now we got this Russia-Ukraine thing. We have inflation. We have the United States Federal Reserve raising interest rates. Things are not looking very good right now. But I got to tell you, pre-COVID, Vietnam's endured 3 booms and declines. First boom, of course, is after the establishment of diplomatic relations with the United States in 1995. We saw a boom in Vietnam. Okay, went really up, and then in a lot of the 2000s, it was pretty much went down. I think a lot of it was correlated to China just being so big, right, and investors very much pivoting from Vietnam to China. But Vietnam came back again in 2009, 2012. That was a big good 3 years, and it's stagnated for a little bit, and then I'd say from 2016, 2019. Huge years for Vietnam. I gotta tell you, Vietnam in 2022 is going to experience somewhere between 5 to 6% GDP growth rate. Big, huge. Vietnam right now today, per capita median age of Vietnamese people, 26, 27. You contrast that with China, median age 42. You contrast that with the United States, median age 41. Contrast it with Japan, median age 52. So there are young people in Vietnam, very optimistic for the future. And I think Vietnam's best days are way ahead of it.
Sounds good. What about those irregular influence, such as the scandal regarding FLC sometime before, which make people very doubt about investing in the Vietnamese stock market? What is your take on it?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment too much on the Vietnamese stock market because we don't invest there, and we're not listing any of our companies there. What I would say is stock market, whether it's Vietnam or U.S. or venture capital or whatever investment you make. Look, at the end of the day, investments by nature are risky. So if you're going to invest your money, whether it's in a house, whether it's into whatever crypto or in a stock market, do your homework first. And sometimes even after you do your homework, you still lose money. So it's just the nature of life.
Thank you so much for your talk today, especially those valuable advices. You have any final word to our audience?
Well, I was going to say, Society Pass is the first Vietnam-based company to ever IPO outside of Vietnam. It's historic. I'm very proud of that fact. For the audience to take a look at what we're all about. We are building the next generation digital ecosystem and loyalty platform in Southeast Asia. Our stock symbol is SOPA, S-O-P-A. And I'm hoping that by understanding Society Pass, Vietnamese, whether they be in the United States, Australia, Vietnam, France, or wherever we are, I'd like to take us, Society Pass, as an example. You can fulfill your dreams. I had a dream that I was going to IPO the first Vietnam-based company out of Vietnam. We achieved it. Vietnamese people are smart, are industrious, work hard, fulfill your dreams. Work hard at your dreams. Dream, plan, execute, and expect a little bit of luck. And that's what I would say to the audience, your audience, Anlun.
Và một vài câu bằng tiếng Việt với khán giả.
Một vài hả? Okay, well, học khó, làm việc khó, and nếu làm cái hai điểm này, mình phải thành công.
Ý anh nói là học khó, chắc là phải nói lại. Học khó tức là học siêng năng, làm việc siêng năng.
Làm việc siêng năng.
Thì sẽ đạt được.
Cảm ơn tiếng Việt giáo sư ha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you a lot in the future.
Yes, and come to Vietnam and Singapore. I'll welcome you anytime you want.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.